Hi, we just have 4 more chapters left of Lucky Lure at Arrow Point by Mary Daem. Here's chapter 12. Mr. Craig came up to Grandma's house and chatted for a while. He produced a slip of pink geranium for Mrs. Turner, and a bright red sweater for her grandson, and a box of big round peppermints for both of them, and for Minty, a bone with shreds of delicious red meat clinging to it. But he had come to fish, and very soon he excused himself. He let Jamie help him down to the little house with some of his gear, and he let him watch as he took the green and white boat from the little boathouse near the wharf and put a beautiful new blue outboard engine at the back of it. He wound a stout cord around the starter, gave a quick pull, and the engine went put-a-put-a-put, as if it meant business. Mr. Craig and the boat were out on the lake before Jamie realized they were gone, and he stood on tiptoe and waved. Minty barked. Neither of them went very eagerly back to the house. Jamie dragged his bad leg, worse than he had done for many days, and all at once he felt very lonely. He sat down on the bottom step with Minty at his feet. Inside, his grandmother was watching him. She knew a lot about little boys. She went into her bedroom and reached up on a high shelf. "Here now," she said. "Put on your new sweater, and then look and see what I've got." Jamie looked first. His grandmother held a pair of binoculars in her hands. Jamie took them and turned them until he could see. "I can see the boat," he cried, his voice shrill with excitement. "Oh, he's caught a fish! He's caught a fish!" He jumped up and down and fell off the bottom step. "I didn't hurt myself," he assured his grandmother. "Well, don't hurt those binoculars either. They belong to your father, too, and he didn't say to give you those. He'll be wanting them himself." Jamie was too excited to pay much attention. He turned the glasses from one thing to another, and he was still using them when the boat turned towards the wharf. "Let's go down to meet him, Grandma," Jamie suggested, and was off before she could answer. "Oh, look!" Mr. Craig held up 3 fish. Rainbow colors were still sparkling on their silvery sides. Jamie clapped his hands, and his grandmother clapped hers too, and Minty raced madly back and forth from one to another. And then, as if that were not enough excitement, Mr. Craig said, without even a hint first, "Do you think, Mrs. Turner, if I promise to be very, very careful of him, and bring him back warm and dry, and in plenty of time for bed, that I could take this big boy out in the boat with me so he could try his luck for a while?" Jamie was speechless, but he suffered his grandmother to do up the buttons on his sweater and to wrap her woolen shawl around his shoulders and over his head, and he tripped only once getting into the boat. Minty tried to jump in, but Mrs. Turner caught him and wrapped him in her apron, and she waved as the boat headed out into the lake. Jamie hoped his grandmother didn't feel lost and forlorn back there on shore, as he had. At first Jamie sat tensely in the green and white boat. It was cold, just like Grandma had said, but the shawl was warm. The boat danced through little waves, and the engine made a happy sound as it pushed them along. Jamie took the rod that Mr. Craig passed him and held it in both hands. He promised to sit as still, and not to move around. Mr. Craig tossed a line in the water, and the silver spoon on the end shone and glittered. Jamie's stomach felt queer. For all of 10 minutes, nothing happened. Mr. Craig lit his pipe and puffed at it quietly. Jamie's hands got cold. Suddenly, Jamie felt a funny little tug on the line, then a good strong pull. Jamie yelled and hung on tightly. Mr. Craig reached for the rod, and Jamie watched as he played the fish closer and closer. Then Jamie could see it. The rod was put back in his hands, and soon Mr. Craig reached for his landing net and scooped the tired fish into the bottom of the boat. It lay there flopping. Jamie gasped as much as the fish. "Well done, son," Mr. Craig praised him. "You'll make as good a fisherman as your father." And he turned the boat for home. That's the end of chapter 12.